What's the summer been like in terms of now being in DC? What's changed for you in terms of getting ready for fall?
Yeah, there's more responsibility. It's not just the linebackers anymore. But you know what? It's fun. I get to be around the whole defense more personally with the different positions, with the D line, with the secondary, which is fun. I really enjoy being around those guys, not just football wise, but in a personal way. Um, Getting everything organized for camp, it's a lot of work. I'll tell you what. And we start early, put a lot of time into it, but we're trying to get things as close to perfect as we can. So it's constantly going back through and um, reviewing and rehearsing our installs and the things we'll do here in camp. Try to get as much done and prepared as we can, so when we get into camp, we can coach. We're not scrambling.
Will we see any differences in how you guys practice or how you prepare, that kind of thing? Anything your own flavor you're going to put on this? Or you try something different? Or?
Well, I think from the teaching standpoint, we're always trying to find ways to get better in communicating, relaying the information. It doesn't matter how much we know, it matters how much our players know. And how we present that and how we relay that information is honestly one of the most important things. We don't want to get on the field and just be out there running around. We want our practices to be clean. We want our guys to understand what's going on, what we're doing, why we're doing it. Or certain drills, if it's turnover drills, if it's pursuit drills, we want them to understand why we're doing that stuff, what the emphasis is.
For you, what are the 1, 2, 3 things that you need to figure out during fall camp, or biggest questions you have, or what are you kind of looking at?
Yeah, always depth. That everyone's always going to say depth. You can't have enough. It's a physical game. Things happen. We want to be able to create depth. We want to create confidence in guys, fine-tune fundamentals, techniques. That will make the scheme better, get guys reps, not only at techniques, fundamentals, and schemes. That's going to create more confidence as we go along in camp. But to be able to create some depth and create a mindset. Every great defense starts with a good mindset and a good mentality.
How big is it to figure out the D line too? Because you lost so much from last year, and obviously in the run game, it's such a big part of what you guys do. How big is it going to be to figure out who you can rely on and how deep you can go there?
Yeah, no question. It always starts. Defense starts with your front, and you've got to be able to stop the run. You've got to be able to get out to the quarterback. And Coach Caldwell's done a great job with those guys through spring. The time we get to work with them in the summertime, and feel like we're at a pretty good point here going into fall camp. Now, obviously, we got to make a big jump. We got some new younger guys that are in here. We got some junior college guys that have come in, and so now we got to accelerate this learning process and get guys confidence and feeling good about what they're doing.
Some of the sacks, tackle for loss numbers went down last year from the year before. A lot of fans they don't really know the ins and outs. Say, they didn't blitz as much. They're not putting as much pressure on the quarterback. Was there anything different last year from the year before, and is that something you are going to put more of an emphasis on, trying to get a little more pressure in the backfield?
We always got to generate pressure. Yeah. How we do it, you give and take. You can't always blitz. You can't always, drop eight. You got to mix it up. So you got to pick and choose your times when to do it. And there's one thing that we want to make sure is that we're on the attack, and having the right balance of certain defenses and pressures versus coverage and all that stuff. And also as well as what do we do best? What is it that we do best? What do our guys feel comfortable with? Because at the end of the day, they're the ones out there playing, and we want to do what's best for the team and what they feel most comfortable with.
You got to feel good though, having your linebacker group to rely on, and talking to some of those guys. They say you give them a lot of responsibility, and you maybe push the envelope a little bit with some of those guys because you know that you give them they put it on onus on them to make the play, and they feel like that's something you're going to do. How nice is it to know your group so well that you can kind of lean on them with some of the calls and things like that?
Yeah, it's I can't say enough about those guys. I enjoy being around them every day. I can't say enough about them as people. They do a great job in terms of being accountable and taking care of the things we ask them to do. And obviously, from the football standpoint, it helps when they've been around for 3 or 4 years, and they know the system. They know they got a high football intelligence, so they're able to pick up on the new things that we want to do, or if we want to make slight adjustments, or they come to us sometimes with, hey, what do you think about this? can we try this? Yeah, let's do it. You know, and so when it's a collaboration of everybody and everybody's really bought in, you know, it makes it fun.
When we were down at media days and we got the depth chart, I think everybody noticed right away that there's no nickel.
Right.
And how do you kind of? It looks like obviously with Cam and Tanner there, those are the two guys that would have played nickel. So, how do you kind of envision what is kind of the how do you see that spot and the kind of defensive scheme you're going to play here?
When we decided to put S linebacker on that, we figured it would kind of get everybody trying to figure out, you know, what the deal was. But
seriously,
I think you said no. It's kind of yeah. We, I mean, like you said though. I mean, you've seen us long enough. You know what we do. You know what we look like. You know those two guys are very capable of playing nickel. I mean, Tanner Vallejo. There were points last year we thought about it. We might need him to play safety. You know, so that's just the way we decided to put it down on paper.
Yeah.
More, it's not totally structure for structure reasons, but more so in keeping certain packages labeled certain ways and doing things. But you know, Tanner's played the nickel position. Cam can play the nickel position.
Yeah. So I mean, is it more a way to keep Tanner, not take Tanner off the field more, or what? I mean, what is kind of when you look at this, the fundamental reason for the switch? I mean, is he still a guy that's going to go out and play that slot guy if he's out there? Or?
Oh yeah, so the Sam linebacker position is the field side outside linebacker. Yeah, so Tanner will be out there.
So what really changes then? Him going in the linebacker meeting rooms instead of the DB meeting rooms?
I mean, there's not a lot that changes for him. You know, he's in with the linebackers. We try to do a little bit more though of working with the safeties, doing meetings with the safeties. Trying to get guys around. We're meeting with the D-line more. The linebackers are meeting with the D-line so we could be all on the same page. I think it's great for the linebackers to hear Coach Caldwell telling the D-linemen, you know, going through things with the D-linemen about how they're going to fit, how their technique is, what their responsibility is. It gives the linebackers, okay, I can see what they're doing now. For the D-line to be able to hear how we're going to fit a certain run player, execute a certain thing as linebackers, it helps them understand better. So from a standpoint of really changing up a whole lot of things, that one name of that position doesn't change a lot.
So does Cam Miles, does he come in linebacker meetings then, or is he, okay, so he's not with the DBs anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Your former teammate Ian Johnson described you as blue collar and one of the hardest working guys that he's ever played with. What players on this Boise State defense remind you of yourself when you were terrorizing opposing offenses?
I don't know if I was terrorizing. There's a lot of good players in front of me. But you know what I did?
Ian said you chokeslammed him. Is that true?
I don't remember. I hope I didn't do that. No.
Would anybody blame you?
He was on. I mean, Ian. I'll say this about Ian and his freshman class. I was a senior, and he was redshirting with his crew, and I mean, I could go down the list of the guys that were on that scout team, but there's a reason why Boise State had so much success and had a great run. That freshman class, the scout team we played against that year, and I don't say this to degrade anybody or anybody else, but that scout team was as good or better than probably half the games we. I mean, they were very, very talented. So to Ian and those guys, I mean, they did a heck of a job. It's hard to it's hard to compare. I mean, we got guys on our defense right now that, you know, are very, very smart. They're go-getters. We got Sam McCaskill, Ben Weaver, Tanner Vallejo. You got guys that Dylan Sumner Gardner is a very physical football player. You know, Chancellor James is a very, very competitive person. You know, you keep going down the list, and it'll be exciting to see him.
With Tanner, I mean, we know he missed the bowl game, obviously. Coach Harsin was saying he's had a really good summer and kind of done everything he was supposed to do. What do you see from Tanner kind of coming into his senior year, you know, when you look at what he's been through the last 3 years?
You know what? I think he's really grown up a lot here in the, in the last 7 months or so, last eight months. He's really had to grow up and take on not only to be accountable for himself, but he's a very productive, very good football player for us. And obviously that throws you into a role of leadership a lot of the times, and just him being able to help and and relay the messages from the coaches and be a great example, you know, and really set the standard for what we're looking for. And, you know, like Coach Harsin said, he's really done a great job, you know, doing that in this offseason.
With Joe not doing baseball this summer, how have you noticed having him around? How big has that been?
It's great because, you know, he doesn't take a leave of absence for 2 months, and mentally, it's probably harder. I mean, he plays middle linebacker. It's not like he's a quarterback, which that's what you typically see as a quarterback going to play baseball. He plays middle linebacker.
Yeah.
So for a quarterback and a middle linebacker, the mental aspects there, you step away from the game for 2 months, and you're not doing it all the time. If we stepped away for 2 months, it'd be hard on us. You'd have to go back and work out the cobwebs. But physically, I mean, he's obviously probably in the best shape of his life right now, and he looks great, moving around, and very excited. You know?
Final thing for me, I mean, you mentioned the depth. I think secondary, obviously, is that a concern, the depth there? I mean, your two backup safeties, one has 0 snaps and one didn't get a lot last year. And, you know, again, you have Ladero Blair, backup corner, who doesn't have any snaps. How concerned with how much do you need the guys to stay healthy there, and is building depth a concern or a goal in the secondary?
Building depth in the second, building depth everywhere.
Yeah.
Even at the linebacker position, we feel great about our 2 deep and all that, but, you know, you got to get as many guys ready to go as you can. You know, and obviously in the secondary, maybe experience-wise, so to speak, we don't have a ton.
Yeah.
But those guys got a lot of reps in the spring, and we obviously got to continue to develop them back there in the secondary as well as the defensive line.
And the option talk, everybody jokes about it or always asks you about it. What
Yeah,
did you guys do? I know you had an interesting connection with the Navy coach, obviously. You know, did you talk to him, or who did you try to bounce some ideas on?
We spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people, and you know, we've incorporated some things that we've learned and that we've researched on, and started working on that stuff during the springtime. Obviously, we'll spend some time in fall camp here. We just, you know, we're trying to do a better job in preparing outside of the season. You know, and spending more time on it, and I think, you know, the guys feel a lot more comfortable where we're at.
More
right
than
now
usual?
than where we've been. I think we're further ahead of right now than where we've ever even been close to. And, you know, only time will tell, but from what we've done with our guys so far, even coming out of this summer, in terms of meetings and stuff, we feel like we're in a pretty good spot. We still got a lot of work to do.
Did you feel like you've identified something, though, that, I mean, it seemed like a lot of times that you were getting beat by the pass, not the runs. I mean, did you guys feel like you figured?
I mean, I think that all comes down to, I don't want to make it sound, you know, like I'm saying the same things over and over, but the confidence of knowing what you're doing, whether it's in the run game or the pass game. And how do you feel that? One, we got to get in the film room and make sure that everybody understands the responsibility, and then we've got to be able to get on the field and have everybody do it and practice it. Practice it over and over to build that confidence. I know exactly where I'm supposed to be lined up, exactly where my eyes are supposed to be, and I'm going to have eye control. I'm going to take care of that, whether it's run or pass, you know. And the more we can do that over and over and kind of build these option roles into our base defenses, then the better off we'll be.
Jabril Frazier, Dylan Sumner.